Yes, hi there. I am Michael Buckhoff, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of your lessons at the TOEFL online course, the 7-step system to pass a TOEFL IBT. And these comments are for Alex. First of all, thank you for contacting me and giving me your information. And I hope you don't mind. I'm going to share your information via YouTube, and I want to talk to you about your specific situation. So you scored 20 points on the speaking, 18 points on the listening, 18 points on the reading, and you had 18 points on the writing. So, and by the way, I like how you organized your analysis of your TOEFL. And I think what you're doing here is really an effective way to look at what happened during the test, to think about what some of your problems are, and that's going to make it much easier for you to prepare and improve your score. So you said, number one, time. You said, I lost a lot of time in the first part of the reading, and then the domino effect did the rest in my head and on my test. I was in a panic, such panic, that I'm positively surprised even for this result. I expect it to be worse. Wow. A lot of students, they tell me that. They expect that their TOEFL score is actually worse than what it was. Number two, you say, I underestimated the usefulness of templates. I thought I could find something original out of existed templates practicing by millions of people who prepare for TOEFL around the world. My impression was I make some kind of plagiarism if I use the templates which we find in the most popular TOEFL books, so I tried to find my own words, but it also has stolen my time during the test. Number three, you say, tiredness of too much learning of English and language block. I prepared TOEFL for about 2 to 3 months, actively learning from various books, and I had a feeling that all I know were boiling in my head in days before the test. All right, now before we get to the last questions here, I want to address each of these issues. Okay, first of all, with the time issue. I think one thing that is going to help you, and one of the things that I do on my online TOEFL course, now you're going to be surprised that what I focus on is actually, I focus on helping you learn academic English. And then indirectly, by doing that, your TOEFL score gets higher. But I don't want to just exclusively focus just on the TOEFL exam. That's not what my website is all about. But one of the things I want to help you with your reading is my website. The reading part of my website will help you improve your reading to about 350 words per minute with 60 to 80% comprehension. Now, this is very important for you because you got started off on the wrong foot during the TOEFL. You lost your time and your concentration during the reading, and as you said, that affected the listening, speaking, and writing sections of the exam. So I think if I can help improve your reading speed, where you can read faster, it'll be much easier for you to complete the reading section of the test. That's going to build your confidence, and in turn you'll do better probably on the other sections of the exam, especially on the speaking and writing sections of the exam, both of which require reading. Now, number two, you say, you talk about the templates here, and you wanted to find something original now. And then you say, where is it? So you tried to find my words. You say, no, a template is simply a way of organizing certain types of speaking and writing tasks. You still have to find your own vocabulary words as you explain the ideas. Now, I kind of agree. I know that you feel like you didn't do well maybe during the speaking and the writing areas, but I'm not sure that it's because of the templates. Because I think it is important for you to try to be original, to try to think about how to organize the different types of speaking and writing assignments. Now, the problem is you don't know exactly what your speaking or writing task will be, so you have to be careful that you use a template to fit all types of speaking and writing situations, because that's not going to work. Now let me give you some information here. Okay, I'm going to show you some of the speaking tasks that are actually a lot of my students send me, beginning with, where is it here? Okay, here we go. These speaking tasks were actually on the TOEFL IBT. So let me give you some different situations. It says here, for example, your friend doesn't know what to study at the university, so what will you advise him to do? This is different from, do you think children should be given cell phones? Or, your friend is nervous because he'll have a job interview, what would you tell him? Or, what are your strategies when you are busy with a lot of homework and assignments? If you get a paired choice, do you prefer living in the same place, or you like to move around a lot? Or what type of job do you like to do? A passive one like an accountant, or an active one like a pilot? Or what characteristic do you prefer in a friend? Reliable, humorous, or intelligent? How about 21? Give 2 solutions you think that can help reduce air pollution. The main thing is you don't have to worry as much about memorizing a template. What you do is you have to be very skilled. Excuse me. You have to be skilled at identifying what the speaking task is, and then figuring out how you want to organize your response based on that. So partly what I like to do with my students in my online TOEFL course, Alex, is I try to help them do better. They become more skilled at decoding the speaking and writing tasks, and then organizing their responses based on those tasks. So what I'm trying to get you to do is to think for yourself, not just have a TOEFL book tell you how to do things. You can look at the speaking or the writing assignment, and you can determine for yourself how you can organize that. You don't have to have other people tell you how to do that. You figure it out for yourself. It is possible when you practice. If you practice, for example, answering speaking and writing tasks, and you do this for a month or so, you should get better at this particular area. Now, the third thing you say, you're tired, what's called too much learning of English in the language block. I think that you have what's called TOEFL-itis. You ever heard of that before? TOEFL-itis. We have other diseases. We have what's called arthritis, which is a type of bone disease that affects the joints and the ligaments and those kinds of things. It's an excruciatingly painful thing. TOEFL-itis means you've probably been focusing a little bit too much on the TOEFL exam, and you might not be focused enough on really the most important thing you're trying to do here. Think about what it is you're trying to do. Why do you want to take the TOEFL test? Think about it for a minute. Now, most likely, like other students, you probably want to enter a university and get a degree. Am I right? So really, your ultimate goal here is you want to be able to use English, academic English, so that you can communicate with your professor, you can read your textbooks, you can listen to lectures, you can talk to students in the class, they can talk to you, other people can understand what you say. This is really what you're trying to do, am I right? So how about thinking about your language study in a different perspective for a minute? Let me give you 3 suggestions right now, and I'll talk about 2, and then I'll tell you a little bit about my course in just a minute. Now, first of all, instead of reading a lot of TOEFL books, here's what I recommend. Sit down for 45 to 60 minutes every day and read books. Read longer books, you can read magazines, you can read newspapers. How about reading those 3 things for 45 to 60 minutes every day? Now, for your listening practice, you can do this. You can watch TV programs. You can watch programs with an emphasis on science, especially science, history, news, maybe documentary. Now, do that for about 45 to 60 minutes every day. Right there, that's a good hour and a half of language study, good reading, and good listening practice. That would be very, very effective for you. Now, in both cases, I want you to focus on note-taking. Get in the habit of writing down the main points and the most important supporting points of those reading and listening passages. And then, Alex, use your notes. You can do two things. This is very important. You want to use the language, right? So using your notes, you can write a summary of the reading and listening passages. You might pick one or two of these a week, and you write a summary of it, or you can orally summarize that information. Again, this is helping you to practice your integrated writing and your integrated speaking proficiencies. And of course, this is going to help you for the TOEFL, but more importantly, you're getting used to writing and speaking about academic information. And that's going to be helpful for you when you transition into a university and you pursue maybe a graduate or undergraduate degree. Okay, so if you do those two things, I think that's going to be very, very helpful for you. Now you might say, well, Michael, I don't really have, English TV. Then do this. Go to npr.org. That's called National Public Radio. Now you can also go to another website. Both of these websites are very effective to help you with your listening. TED Talks. If you go to Google, you can check out that. TED Talks, believe it or not, the videos that you watch, you can get subtitles for like 58 different languages in those videos. No joke. Now, if you do those two things, you're going to improve your reading and your listening proficiency. If you do them for a week, nothing's going to happen. If you take these suggestions to heart, you do this for 2 or 3 months, you will find that you will advance your academic English language proficiency. And you're not just focusing on the TOEFL, you're focusing on academic English. Now, my last suggestion, and maybe I'm going to get to this answer here. You say, my questions for you are, is this tragic, fair, or a good result? I don't know. I don't know where you were before you took the TOEFL exam. I don't really know what your existing English language abilities are. So I cannot tell you if this is a tragic, fair, or good result because I don't really know where you were and what you were doing before. So I don't know what your pre-existing English language abilities were before you took the TOEFL. I can tell you this is, if you've never taken the TOEFL before and you have fairly advanced English language abilities and you take the test for the first time, it's a start. 74 is not bad. I mean, a lot of universities, if you want to do graduate study, they will allow you to do graduate study if you have a score of 80 or 81, right? So, the question is it tragic, fair, or a good result? I'm going to refrain from answering that because I don't really know what your English language abilities were. Now, if you say, well, Michael, I was really, really advanced in my English language abilities. I speak fluent English. I write fluently. I have almost no grammar problems. Then I would say, well, maybe that's not a great result for you, right? But again, I don't have all that information. Okay, so let's keep reading. He says, I understood explanation and results. I'm on the level when I can swim without big problems in academic waters. I love your metaphor, Alex. You got pretty good language skills here. You said my weak point is high-level vocabulary. Well, join the club. Everybody has that problem. You said, do you think all foreign students on U.S. universities have high-level vocabulary? No, they don't. I'm going to say some do, some don't. I'm not going to say that all of them have high-level vocabulary. That would be a overgeneralization or a stereotype, so I cannot do that as a professor, as an English professor. So now we're really getting into the core of your questions here. You say, what do you suggest me to correct it for higher scores of 100 and over. How much time I would need to prepare for the next TOEFL test, a month, 2, or 3. Now you have the questions, right? So here's my suggestions. You're probably looking at 3 to 6 months, I think. To go from 74 to 100 is a very big proposition. Let's face it. I mean, based on your score, you still have a lot of language issues during the reading, during the writing area, right? And you still need to improve your reading and your listening areas. So I'm going to say you're probably looking at least 3 to 6 months. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to recommend my 90-day TOEFL study guide for you. And it's very easy to find it. You can go back to my website, Alec, and you go to TOEFL IBT Study Guides. You just click on the tab, and what you want to do is you want to go to the 90-day TOEFL Study Guide. You'll see this one. I'm going to right-click, open it up, and this will give you the information that you need to get started with my online TOEFL course. I like this one because it has a fairly heavy emphasis on vocabulary. And I've noticed that you mentioned that you need to improve your vocabulary, right? And even with your reading, I mean, if you think about it, and by the way, here is my online TOEFL course. Let me go ahead and I'll kind of scroll through it for a minute and show you what it looks like. So I call it the 7-step system to pass the TOEFL IBT because my course focuses in 7 key areas. And then in step 8, I have some full-length IBT practice tests that you can take. Step 1 is vocabulary. Here are some of the lessons. Here is what you want to do is you need to learn the vocabulary words in lesson 3, also lesson 4, lesson 5, and lesson 6. That's going to give you access to 1,700 TOEFL words. Now remember, that's going to take you some time, but if you learn those words, that will really, really help you. It will expand your abilities to speak, to write, to read, to listen. You'll be so much better in those areas just by improving your vocabulary. Step 2 focuses on pronunciation. Remember, TOEFL book's not going to help you here. What you do at my website is you're going to take my diagnostic pretest. I'm going to diagnose the problems you're having and recommend specific lessons to help you improve. Here's all my pronunciation lessons. The 3rd step of my course is grammar. The 4th step is listening, as you can see all those practice tests and lessons I have there. The reading area, that's what I was telling you, is I do have over 70 different speed reading tests to help you improve your speed reading from 100 all the way to 350 words per minute there. You see that? Now think about it here, Alex. There's really 5 basic things that you can do to improve your reading. There's 5. Think about this for a minute. Number 1, you got to read for about 45 to 60 minutes every day for a few months. You have to do extensive reading. Let's face it. If you're not reading magazines, if you're not reading books, if you're not reading newspapers on a regular basis, you're not reading. You can't just focus on a TOEFL book and expect to improve your reading proficiency. Number 2, you got to build your vocabulary. Number 3, you have to improve your reading speed. My recommendation is a minimum of 300 words per minute. Number 4, you want to become familiar with the IBT reading test taking strategies, and that's what you'll do here, is in the reading part of my course, you will learn how to answer vocabulary, pronoun, referent, and paraphrase question types. You'll learn how to answer insert sentence detail, negative detail, and implied detail question types. You'll learn how to answer the infer rhetorical purpose, summary chart, and schematic table questions. Right? These are all things that you will do at my website. Now the next area is the writing area. I have right now about 40 different independent writing practice tests for you, and you'll get feedback from me every time you take a practice test. I'll give you a score. With the integrated writing practice test, I have 43. If you're brave, you can try some of my difficult ones, but if you feel your writing is a little bit weak like yours is, I think, based on your score, you might want to try some of my easy integrated writing practice tests first, maybe one or two, then go to medium, try one or two, and then maybe go to difficult. Then you can kind of mark your progress as you go. Now, the speaking area in my course probably is the most popular area. As you can see, I have a lot of lessons. I have practice tests even. I have over 300 independent speaking practice topics at my website right now. And I actually have a VoxyPop page. Let me show you how it works. Is my online students, they actually post their speaking responses directly online at my VoxyPop group. And it looks like I'm pretty busy here. I have at least Jezzy, Mimi1, Anna, Maya, and Marina. I have 4 different practice tests that were posted today from some of my students. So what I have to do, actually tomorrow what I'll do is I will listen and give all of these students scores. I'll make audio comments to let them know how they're doing. So my students know when they post a practice test online, either somebody's going to read it or somebody's going to listen to it. And they're going to get some feedback on that, which is a very good motivator. Because what you're doing is you will be going through my lessons. You'll be studying in all these areas, right? And then when you're ready, you'll take a practice test, and then I'll give you some comments, or my IBT writing specialist will give you comments. We may even recommend lessons. We may say, hey, you need to work on your organization. So go to my speaking lesson number 7. I may tell you that. So you're going to go to that lesson. You're going to learn that material. You're going to try to take it to heart. Then you'll take another practice test and get more feedback from me. So you can measure your progress. So little by little, step by step, you can get better. Now the last part of my course is, this is at additional cost, but it is a service I like to offer because a lot of my students want to take what's called a full-length IBT and section-specific test. They want to take one of these practice tests right before they take the actual TOEFL exam. This can help them build confidence. They can get some analysis of their weaknesses. They can make a few adjustments, and then they can go and take the full-length practice test, or they can take the actual TOEFL exam. Alrighty, so I think we're in pretty good shape here. I kind of went through and answered a lot of your questions as best I can. So in conclusion to the video is, I recommend that you use my 90-day TOEFL study guide, and I would recommend that you spend about 2 hours a day going through that study guide and going through all those lessons. So if you do this for 90 days, right, you're spending about an hour doing the reading that I suggested at the beginning of the video. You're spending another hour with listening materials, and then you might spend another 2 hours going through the lessons in my online TOEFL course. And of course, you're speaking English as much as you can. You're watching TV. You're using the language, right? You're really trying to get involved with the English language. If you do that, you're going to get better. All right. Anyway, thank you very much for your comments, and all the best to your high-scoring TOEFL success.